Breaking news just coming in hours after the Speaker was ordered by the Supreme Court to meet all the rebel Karnataka MLAs at 6 p.m. this evening. The Speaker has now said that he will abide by the Supreme Court order and meet the MLAs, and he also said that all the MLAs will be welcomed in a graceful manner with security. This after the Speaker moved the Supreme Court against this, the Speaker's plea says that the disqualifications must be decided first and the judiciary cannot direct the Speaker. That's all the very latest that is breaking at this point of time. The Karnataka coalition crisis taking a new turn. Speaker's plea going on to say that disqualifications must be decided first and the judiciary cannot direct the Speaker. But hours after the Speaker was ordered by the Supreme Court to meet all the rebel Karnataka MLAs, the Speaker has now said that he will abide by the Supreme Court order and meet the MLAs as well.
Supreme Court has advised me permit MLAs to meet me. I have no problem. हम उनको मीट करने तैयार है. ये लोग वहाँ तक क्यों गए हमें नहीं जानते.
Our client, the Speaker of the Karnataka Assembly, learnt of all these developments from the press, and so we have moved an application at 2 o'clock by mentioning before the Chief Justice's court. These are the real facts. Under this law, the Speaker is obliged to decide disqualification petitions pending. He is obliged to form his own view about genuineness and voluntariness, and that the Constitution was amended to provide for a process which the Speaker has to follow. We have respectfully pointed all this out in an application. The court is kind enough to list it tomorrow along with the other matter.
Anisha Mathur tracking the latest developments joins us now from the Supreme Court. Anisha, after all of this drama, the Speaker is now decided to meet the MLAs. He of course moved the Supreme Court as well, but now finally there will be meeting of the MLAs and the Speaker, and he says that he will welcome them with utmost grace as well. If you could walk our viewers through what transpired right there.
Well, Chaiti, it seems that this political ups and downs of the Karnataka drama is not letting up at all. Remember, this morning when the Supreme Court asked the Speaker to give a meeting to these 10 rebel MLAs at 6 p.m. At 2 p.m. the application was moved on behalf of the Speaker of the Karnataka Assembly, saying that Article 190 of the Constitution and Section 202 of the Conduct of Business Rules mandate and make it mandatory that the disqualification applications have to be decided first, and the Speaker has to follow a particular process when it comes to looking at the resignation applications. He's also said that there is a constitutional mandate on the Speaker to conduct an inquiry before accepting or rejecting an resignation, and the Speaker cannot the time period required for this inquiry cannot be forced. So all of these arguments presented before the court by Senior Advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi at 2 p.m. The court, of course, has said that the Speaker can take a call, but we are hearing this matter tomorrow. So we'll have to now see what happens at this 6 p.m. meeting. The MLAs are on their way to Bangalore from Mumbai, and the Supreme Court has asked the Speaker to apprise it of whatever decision he chooses to take. Remember, this morning's decision of the Supreme Court was to request the Speaker to communicate his decision on the resignations to the Supreme Court by tomorrow morning. And both these issues now, the petition filed by the MLAs saying that the resignation should be accepted and the disqualification proceedings should be stopped, as well as the petition, as the application by the Speaker asking the Supreme Court to vacate its order, to recall its order, saying that that constitutional mandate is that I need to decide on the disqualification first. Both these issues now to be heard by the Supreme Court tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see what the stand of the Speaker is now going to be after the meeting with the MLAs.
Okay, so Anisha, if you could just give us a perspective, the Speaker is going to be deciding and communicating his decision to the Supreme Court tomorrow is what I'm picking up from you. As far as the anti-defection law is concerned, he would have to abide by it, and there could perhaps be disqualification, and that is something that we can expect that he would communicate to the Supreme Court, because 6 p.m. today is that very crucial meeting as well, Anisha.
Well, Jyoti, as I was just saying, we'll have to wait and see how the speaker chooses to now handle this entire issue. Remember, this at 2 p.m. when the speaker has moved the Supreme Court, in his application he has said that the constitutional mandate is that the disqualification issue has to be decided first, because the speaker has to determine whether a resignation is actually genuine or it is being motivated by some pressure or some undue favor. Now, because the speaker has said clearly in his application that he needs time to decide on all of these issues, there is a likely chance that the speaker tomorrow may come to the court and say, listen, I need more time to make my decision, or he may say that I have taken XYZ decision. Remember, it is up to the speaker to take that decision. The court has only asked the speaker to meet the MLAs and communicate his decision to the Supreme Court tomorrow morning. The court does not.
Is this a part, Anisha, then of that inquiry process that Abhishek Manu Singhvi was highlighting as well, that there has to be a certain process, the inquiry has to be conducted, and then when they meet, they will perhaps assess whether this was these resignations came in under pressure or not?
Well, of course, Chaiti. Remember, for the last 2 days, this is exactly what we've been hearing from the side of the Karnataka speaker, that he wants to meet the MLAs and assess whether their resignations are genuine or not. And that is exactly the stand he's now once again taken before the Supreme Court, saying that he as the speaker has the obligation to make sure that the inquiry is conducted properly. But in any case, the disqualification issue has to be decided first, and that is the stand of the speaker. So we'll have to see how this is going to play out, because as the speaker has said that he will follow the Supreme Court's order, he will be meeting the MLAs at 6 p.m. today. So whatever the communication from the MLAs to the speaker is going to be, what decision the speaker decides to take, and if the speaker chooses to take this stand before the court again tomorrow, that yes, I have met with them, but my decision is that I will be deciding disqualification before I decide resignation, that is the stand that the speaker will have to communicate to the court. At this stage, we can only speculate on what all can the speaker do, and the speaker at this stage has all the power to take a decision, take whatever decision that he sees fit, because as the speaker is in effect has the authority under the constitution to look into disqualification as well as resignation. So we'll have to see how this is going to play out, because the court has simply said one thing this morning, that because this issue has been raised by the MLAs are permitted to meet the speaker and put their the piece before the speaker. So what happens in the 6 o'clock meeting is going to be very, very crucial to watch, and what the decision by the speaker after the 6 p.m. meeting is going to take is something that will decide the next step in this ongoing political saga.
All right, Anisha, continue to stay with us right there. Anisha tracking all the developments coming in from the Supreme Court. Now, as the Karnataka power saga enters day 6, the Rebel Congress MLAs are now all set to go to Bengaluru in a chartered flight. This after the Supreme Court, which was hearing a plea by 10 Rebel Congress MLAs, said that the Speaker should meet all the 10 Rebel MLAs together at 6 p.m. All eyes are going to be on that crucial meeting that is taking place at 6 p.m. this evening. The top court also asked the Speaker to give his decision on the resignations by tomorrow. 5 other Rebel MLAs who are awaiting the Speaker's decision on resignations are now expected to move the Supreme Court as well. The DGP of Karnataka too has been asked to provide security to the rebels once they reach Bengaluru.
Mr. Vishwanath, what is going to happen? Are you happy with what happened with the Supreme Court?
No, I welcome the decision of the Supreme Court.
Are you all together?
Now together.
You think now the government is going to fall?
Maybe.
So it's going to be Mr. Yadiyurappa, the BJP government coming?
Maybe.
In all, how many support you have?
You are comfortable majority.
Okay. So are you going to stand by what you had said in front of the Speaker as well?
Yes.
Is it the resignation that you're carrying in your hand?
Yes.
What are you saying in the resignation, sir? Is it in the prescribed format? Is it in the prescribed format?
Yeah.
What does the resignation say, sir?
No, already my resignation is accept the Speaker. Only then now my application is accepted. But only just interview is there. That way I am going.
What are you going to tell the speaker, sir?
Accept our resignation.
There has been a delay in accepting the resignation. That's what the BJP.
Yes. That the Supreme Court is direction. Huh?
But are you going to raise that issue with the speaker, sir?
No, nothing like that. Thank you. Sir, thank you.
Sir, is it the BJP said they are calling it Operation Kamala? Sir, they are calling it Operation Kamala. Are you in touch with the BJP?
Not at all.
What time are you leaving, sir? What time are you leaving?
We are leaving now.
What makes you leave and what are you going to do there in Bangalore?
No, in respecting the Supreme Court order.
I think on the legally, everything we'll see on legally. One thing I like to tell, our speaker will never go unconstitutionally and illegally. Everything will be legal. So the country, ultimately, the country will, the result will come who is unconstitutional, who is not unconstitutional.
Supreme Court has ordered, naturally that will be followed and they have to follow it. Let us see, because law is there, as per law they have to act and speaker will also go as per rule.
Court has accepted the request of the 10 MLAs who have resigned that they will appear before the speaker at 6 p.m. today, which means that they will fly from Bombay to Bangalore. The speaker will give them an audience. Case will come up tomorrow and the DGP Karnataka has been directed to provide proper police protection to all these 10 MLAs when they land in Bangalore and go to the speaker's office.
All right, Nagarjun joining us live. Anisha also joins us live from the Supreme Court. We'll try to patch Anisha back on in just about a bit. But Nagarjun, in the light of all these legal developments also taking place at this point of time, the bigger question which is on everyone's mind is the coalition crisis. Will the JDS and Congress government survive? What do the final numbers really look like? And of course, you know, a lot will be decided after that meeting that the Speaker is going to be having with the rebel MLAs as well.
Well, if the resignations are accepted, 16 together is pending in front of the CM's, in fact, in front of the Speaker's chamber. If it's accepted, the number reduces for the coalition at 101 and BJP is at 107. The halfway mark is somewhere around 104. BJP, with just the independents' support, is quite over the halfway mark at this point of time. But the Speaker has said that his lawyers would represent him in the Supreme Court and put out an argument that the disqualification papers given by the Congress party will have to be heard first before the resignations. Remember, the 8 resignations were not in the right format, and that is why the disqualification papers will have to be heard first before we take care of the resignation papers. Speaker has just left his chamber. Siddaramaiah and Dinesh Gundurao spoke to him and put their case forward from the Congress party that what are the disqualification matters that they had to be heard. There was one pending case in front of the Speaker since February about Ramesh Jarkioli and Mahesh Kumtali. There was already a petition in front of the Speaker about them. So that was taken care today. The lawyers from the Congress party came and argued and put their case forward in front of the Speaker. All eyes on the Speaker's chamber now. The rebel MLAs will be just taking off now. A plane of 9-seater to 10-seater has just landed in Mumbai. In any time, it should be taking off. It's already around 3:15. By 4:30, they should be reaching HL Airport in Bengaluru, and by 5 o'clock, they should be here in Vidhan Sauda in Speaker's chamber.
As far as the other 5 rebel MLAs are concerned, they are awaiting the Speaker's decision on the resignations. They are also somewhere, Nagarjun, expected to move the Supreme Court too. Actually, I'm going to take that question to Anisha, who's joining us again. Anisha, about the 5 rebel MLAs, they're likely to be moving the Supreme Court. If you could tell us a little more about that development too.
Well, Chaiti, there is no clarity at this stage whether or not they are going to be moving the Supreme Court. We had heard from sources this morning that they would be considering whether they will have also moved the Supreme Court. But till right now, we have got no updates on whether or not they are making a final decision. We should, if they are going to be moving the Supreme Court, they will have to do so by 4 p.m. or by 4:30 p.m. But we'll have to keep a very sharp eye on those developments. In any case, today's meeting with the speaker at 6 p.m. will decide the future of this entire political drama. We'll have to see what happens when these 10 rebel MLAs who had already come to the Supreme Court, what happens when they go and meet the speaker, what the decision of the speaker is going to be. But as far as the remaining are concerned, there is at this stage no further development so far.
Absolutely. Anisha, continue to stay with us. Nagarjun, why don't you walk our viewers through all the options that lie before the speaker as well at this point of time, because all of it, this is going to vastly depend on what the speaker decides this evening in that crucial meeting that we're all waiting for it to start.
Well, crucial meeting will begin. Speaker has just left his chamber just half an hour back, and right now it's all technical and legal game that both the Congress party and the rebel MLAs are hoping to play on. What it is that the 8 resignations that have come to the speaker's chamber are not in the right format. If they do agree to put it in the right format and resign today, it would be chronologically second in line, because the petitions of disqualification would have reached the speaker before the resignation. So the speaker legally will have to hear the disqualification papers and then only consider the resignation. That is the legality that the Congress is hoping on, that if the government goes into a minority, but if they are going down, they would take the rebel MLAs down also. That way, by disqualifying the rebel MLAs, the Congress and the JDS would sit in the opposition, is what the sources are saying.
Right. Anisha also with us. Anisha, if the speaker decides to seek more time from the Supreme Court, so, well, he's got one option, that is to accept these resignations. The other one is to reject these resignations. But the third option also is to seek more time from the Supreme Court. If he chooses to go with the third option, what happens? What are you picking up from legal eagles and on the technicalities of what happens then?
See, Chaiti, at this stage, because the Congress was very clear that what they're saying is that the speaker is constitutionally obliged to first decide the disqualification applications. So there is a chance that the speaker could communicate that once again to the court tomorrow morning when this matter comes up for hearing before the court. Of course, as Nagarjun was also saying, that he can of course choose to take a decision, or he can simply ask for more time. But we'll have to see how this exact thing is going to play out, because remember, in his application before the court, the speaker, and I'm reading this out here, that the order, he has said that the Supreme Court's order of this morning was based on the submissions made by the MLAs without reference to relevant articles of the Constitution. He is saying that the Supreme Court's order this morning was passed without looking at the legal provisions that the Speaker of the Assembly is bound by, and that is why that he has asked the Supreme Court to recall his order as far as it asks the Speaker to take a decision forthwith and communicate it by tomorrow morning. So that is specifically the prayer filed by the Speaker before the Supreme Court at this stage. So it is very obvious that the Speaker is saying that he will need more time. His argument is also that he has to hear the disqualification proceedings first, right, and he'll have to hear the resignation later. So we'll have to see how the legal arguments are going to play out once this matter is heard tomorrow, because the court has said the speakers can take a call.
Absolutely, Anisha. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.